morning to all of you. I would start first by sad news because, as you might be aware, yesterday a former Prime Minister of Portugal, Francisco Pinto Balsemão, passed away. So today is a national mourning. Pinto Balsemão was an amazing man, an entrepreneur, a politician, and a former Prime Minister of Portugal that helped to enhance and to boost our democracy here. So today is a national mourning day in Portugal, so please join me in just a short moment of silence in the memory of Francisco Pinto Balsemão. Thank you. For joining me in this moment, and we are now able to start the conference. So, Your Excellency, Secretary of State of the Economy, Mr. João Rui Ferreira, distinguished speakers and guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 7th Lisbon Conference on Competition Law and Economics. In the next 2 days, we will be discussing challenges, tensions, and the most recent developments in competition law and economics. Our field is a living discipline. It evolves through debate, analysis, consensus, and critical thinking. But first and foremost, competition law and economics are made by people and for people. People are at the core of what we do every day. It is people who give meaning to the rules we study, the policies we shape, and the markets we strive to make fairer. This is why this conference matters, because it brings an extraordinary group of people together who want to make our economies and societies better. Therefore, I am deeply grateful to all the speakers and participants for being here today. You have traveled from all over the world, not only to participate, but also to question, to challenge, and to imagine new ways forward. Allow me now to address a special word of gratitude to the President of the General Court of the European Union, who generally joins the Lisbon Conference tomorrow. The General Court jurisprudence remains one of the cornerstones upon which competition law evolves. As so, I'm deeply honored to welcome President Mark van der Voet at this conference. I would like also to extend a special thanks to Lindsay McCullen, Acting Director General for Competition at the European Commission, for continued support and strong partnership of DG.COM with the Portuguese ADC. And tomorrow, we will have the great privilege of welcoming Executive Vice President Teresa Ribeira for the closing of this conference. Finally, a word of special appreciation for the participation of Professor Philippe Aghion, the 2025 Nobel Prize in Economic Science laureate. And later this morning, we will watch an interview by Ana Sofia Rodrigues and I to Professor Aghion, which was actually recorded just minutes before the Nobel Prize was made public. This is a tremendous coincidence that we wish could have been planned, but really it was not. And some of you know the story about it. In fact, and despite the imminent announcement, Professor Aghion, who knew about the Nobel Prize and the interviews didn't know, generously shared his insights with us, which turned out to be an extraordinary event for this conference. This conference is taking place under challenging circumstances. Competition policy is navigating through global disruptions, technological transformation, geopolitical uncertainty, trade tensions, the interplay with an expanded set of policies, deregulation, threats to institutional independence, calls for laxer merger control, debates on legal standards, and so much more. Just recently, 46 CEOs have written a letter, the Franco-German avian call, portraying competition as an obstacle to European champions and calling for global relevant markets so as to allow for strategic mergers. This letter stands as a striking example of a worrying trend of skepticism around competition. Still, as Executive Vice President Ribeira put it recently, referring to calls for lower environmental and social standards, There is no competitiveness in a race to the bottom. The challenge ahead is clear in Europe. We need more economic growth, competitiveness, and innovation. And so the discussion is whether competition holds the key. The Draghi report has mapped the drivers and provided us a sense of urgency, one that only becomes deeper as we might be achieving a point of no return regarding missed opportunities. There is no silver bullet for the challenges ahead. One thing is certain: competition may not be the lone hero that will save the day, but it has a role to play. And the Portuguese Competition Authority, with the work that we do, are very much aware and committed to contributing to this debate and to fulfill our mission. Allow me to share some recent highlights. Between 2024 and 2025, the ADC issued 10 sanctioning decisions imposing fines totaling over 70 million euros. These decisions concern a wide array of anti-competitive practices, including abuse of dominant position, no-poach agreements, decisions by business associations, and other agreements of horizontal and vertical nature. In the merger control side, in 2024, the ADC has reached a new record with 93 merger notifications, including one of which led to a prohibition decision. I'm speaking, in the case of the latter, about the block acquisition of Novo by Vodafone that prompted a strong market reaction, resulting in lower prices from consumers and the entry of a new competitor. If we consider this year of 2025, we are already counting with 75 final decisions, 2 in-depth investigations, and 2 mergers withdrawn by the parties. Regarding the ADC's forensic capabilities, we keep improved our capacity by launching 3 major IT tools that are focused, the first one on detecting collusive behavior in public procurement, the second one regarding markets and monitoring markets for potential price fixing, and the third one that aims to detect gun jumping cases. And here we have been working to improve the accuracy of the tools by training AI models using the data obtained and by actively engaging in the research and dissemination of international best practices. On the advocacy front, much work has been done by the ADC. Just to mention an example, this year we kept the publication of the short paper series on AI, which aims to identify emerging risks of competition in digital markets. The most recent paper, the third one, focused on labor markets, drawing attention to the shortage of talent in the AI sector. It follows the 2 other papers that were published last year that explore the first, the interplay between competition and the access and use of data, and the second one, the access to AI models and competition. A fourth one will come out until the end of this year, and due to relate the interplay between AI and microchips in the AI stack. The ADC has been also focusing on the financial sector, namely by preparing a study regarding the banking sector. And finally, the ADC has been actively engaged in litigation, both in national courts and before the European Court of Justice. In the case of Court of Luxembourg, recent preliminary ruling decisions concerning the application of EU competition law have predominantly upheld the ADC's approach. This is the result of a hard-working team that never faltered in the face of the extraordinary obstacles we have encountered in recent years. Together, as a team, and they are here in this room, we have managed to deal with the intricate new standards for investigations, complex files in mergers, abuse, and the courts. We were able to launch new reports and outreach campaigns to bring AI technology into our daily lives and to assure the transition of the ADC to the new premises that will take place in March next year, and to provide better working conditions for all the ones that work at the ADC. And this has led the GCR, the Global Competition Review, to rank the ADC as one of the best competition agencies worldwide. And I'm really proud of that. And also I'm very proud of the recognition that was done by the international community for being elected as vice chair of the International Competition Network. All of this is due to an extraordinary team that I'm honored to work with on a daily basis. Thank you for the team at the ADC, really. It's great to be part of it and to work on a daily basis with you. And I also take this up. Yeah, thank you for recording. It's really well deserved for the amazing team of the ADC. And I also take this opportunity to thank my esteemed colleagues of the board, Miguel Mori Silva and Ana Sofia Rodrigues, and for all the workers that have allowed me and the ADC to do, I think, great work, not in my case, but the ADC case, and commitment to public service. This does not mean that all our challenges have been resolved. In fact, I do believe that the Portuguese competition legal framework could be improved, not only in antitrust, but also in merger control. Also, some improvements on the effectiveness of the judicial review of the ADC's decisions could be introduced, namely by securing further means to the courts. And here, I think that one could think not only on providing the competition court with more resources, but also about its possible relocation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have mentioned some of the challenges that lie ahead globally and for the ADC. I do believe that our struggles push us forward. It is more important than ever that conferences like this one convey a clear and powerful message about continuing relevance of competition. And for this, the Lisbon conferences over the years have proven to be fundamental for the debate around competition law and policy. Over the next 2 days, we will witness a rich and stimulating debate led by a truly stellar lineup of speakers. I feel I'm truly privileged to have the world represented in this room. And today, Lisbon is once again the world capital of competition. This underlines the relevance of the Lisbon Conference, but also the contribution of the ADC to advancing the discussion on competition law and policy. So thank you all for being here today, and I wish you an inspiring conference. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to Lisbon. It's a wonderful atmosphere we live since I entered the conference. Let me start by thanking Mr. President of the Portuguese Competition Authority, Dr. Nuno Cunha Rodrigues. It is a great pleasure to join you today at this conference dedicated to a theme that lies at the heart of our economy and therefore our democracy itself. Before I begin, and the President already mentioned, allow me a brief word of remembrance. Portugal lost recently two remarkable public figures, Francisco Pinto Balsemão and Laborinho Lúcio. Both served our democracy with intelligence, integrity, and a profound sense of public duty. Their legacies, political, journalist, justice and education remind us that democracy, the rule of law and open debate are the true foundations of progress. Honor their memory is defending these values also here today as we discuss the role of competition in strengthening our economy and so our democracy. And because a strong economy, as we know, is always an open and competitive one. Let me begin by congratulating the Portuguese Competition Authority, ADC, which in 2025 achieved the 4-star rating, which was very good, in a rating enforcement by the Global Competition Review. It's a leading international publication in this field, and only 6 competition authorities worldwide achieved the higher score. This is a remarkable recognition and a clear incentive to continue defending both companies and consumers by ensuring the effective enforcement and competition rules and values. Let me also congratulate for the adoption of AI tools that we just heard in order to be faster, effective, transparent and fair, to have these all decisions, and by the deserve their recognition to all your team that is always part of a big group. I also want to say welcome and good morning to all the speakers. It's a great group of panelists, speakers, international, national, at a global level. It's really, really high level. Unfortunately, in this role, we are able to participate in short parts of the program, but we'll have all the insights and we'll take a lot of what will be discussed today in order to be able to prepare and to solve public policies, decisions that will for sure come good insights. I warmly also greet all magistrates, regulators, academics and representatives of the business community, wishing that this conference will be remembered as a milestone in the reflection on the future of competition law at a time when the global economy, as was mentioned by the President, faces profound transformation. We live really in a time when new ways of producing, consuming and creating value are redefining the very notion of markets. Value chains have become shorter, more global and more digital. Companies with near exclusive access to certain technologies, data or platforms now hold an unprecedented level of influence over economies and consumers alike. This new context demands more than ever independent, technically skilled and vigilant regulators capable of ensuring that innovation and market concentration truly serve the collective economic interest by fostering efficiency, scale and investment without undermining freedom of choice or fair competition, as it was really stated and mentioned by the President. Today, the greatest challenge to competition policies no longer comes from traditional cartels or price fixing. It comes from the digital economy, which has profoundly reshaped how we produce, distribute and consume. Technological innovation has created entire markets, breaking barriers, accelerating growth and connecting the world as never before. But it also generated new forms of dependency and dominance through the control of data, algorithms, digital platforms to determine the access of all the consumers. Legal and economic challenge, therefore, is to strike the right balance, protect free competition, ensure collective growth, and competition law in the digital economy must therefore meet four fundamental objectives: protect all the market participants, foster innovation and investment, promote economic growth, and ensure that this digital environment is open, fair, and transparent. Digital transformation compels us to rethink how we make economic policy and apply the law by combining regulation with incentives and an oversight with encouragement. It calls for public and private leadership to be able to anticipate, invest, and regulate in a vision that will transform innovation into value and to value into shared prosperity. Of course, these transformations will also require us to rethink the relationship between industrial policy and the competition policy, two dimensions that, far from being opposed, they must work hand in hand to strengthen our economic competitiveness. The current government promotes an economic policy that encourages coordination and cooperation among companies, especially in research, development, and innovation activities. This cooperation can generate positive externalities across the economic system, but to make possible, we must ensure that collusion or any distortion of competition does not go unnoticed. It is, of course, the regulator's responsibility to ensure that cooperation does not turn into abusive concentration, but rather into collective competitiveness, something essential for small, open economies as Portugal. We should also always keep in mind, actually in a topic that has a large consensus in Portugal, that is key to give scale to our economy in the sense that it's dominated by very, very small companies. Likewise, certain horizontal measures of industrial policy, such as shared distribution channels, joint access to technologies, common infrastructures, will strengthen competitiveness without compromising the principles of fair competition. There is therefore room for a modern European industrial policy that complements rather than contradicts the competition, if both share the same goal, to be dynamic, fair and open markets. We are in a moment of action, Reports have been done. Call to action is there, and now it's time to act. The challenge we face in Europe is not only to reconcile competition and growth within our borders, it is also to ensure that Europe competes on fair terms beyond them. The principle of level playing field is now more than a technical concept. It is the foundation of Europe's economic sovereignty, because internal competition is only virtuous if European companies can compete globally under comparable rules. We cannot ask our firms to meet higher environmental, social and state aid standards and then expect them to compete in the world market against companies not bound by those same obligations. Europe's competition policy must therefore evolve to continue guaranteeing open and efficient markets, yes, but also to embed a strategic dimension of safeguards Europe's productive and technological capacity. Competition and growth are not opposing goals. They are, in fact, two sides of the same ambition: to build Europe that is competitive, innovative, and fair. Let me close with a simple but essential conviction. Only the impartial, objective, and independent enforcement of competition rules can ensure an economy that is truly fair and free. That is and will continue to be the mission of the Portuguese Competition Authority and of all those who work each day to uphold a market that is more transparent, more competitive, more innovative. Count on our commitment to evolve, and the moment we leave demands that we really pass to action. Thank you very much.